Thank you. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, y'all? It is Friday Eve. It is Friday Eve. And y'all, I'm so pumped. I'm coming off of some training and some coaching and all some other stuff this morning, but I get this really, really honorable privilege to Boston Friends, y'all, with Akilah Charlemagne. What's going on, Akilah?
Hey, good afternoon, good morning for anyone listening on the West Coast. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you know what it is. I can't do these unless I bring my folks that have, leaned into all that I am. And again, I always tell people I created this for the opportunity to highlight people who have meant so much to me over these last several years that I've been doing my thing, the boss thing, before I was the boss thing. And you're one of those people, Akilah. It's almost been 7 years since we first met. Golly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Time is just speeding up. I swear time is just moving at a lightning pace.
Oh my gosh. So I want people to find, who are you? Where are you at? And then we're going to get going on all that Akilah is.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again. So my name is Akilah Charlemagne. I am the president and CEO of Career Lemonade. And a little backstory about Career Lemonade and how I created that name. So I experienced a job loss several years ago and really had to learn how to reestablish and establish meaningful networking connections that would be mutually beneficial, right? And I know networking gets a bad rap sometimes because it may seem like it's all about you. And so I really would encourage everyone listening to think about net weaving, right? And that is really taking a servant leadership mentality and really thinking about how a relationship can be mutually beneficial. And sometimes a relationship isn't about you, it's about making connections, right? So Lawrence, we love knowing good people and we connect good people with other good people. And that relationship enough is good for us, even if it yields nothing for us personally, right? Or professionally. And so Career Lemonade really came out of the knowledge and insights I gained about developing relationships and using that to develop a career and business strategy. And so in life, just like in your professional career, there are lemons and you have to figure out how to take those lessons and those challenges and turn them into lemonade. And so I'm typically a glass half full type of person, but I get down just like anyone else does, right? And so had to really learn the challenges that I had and how can I share those learnings with my clients. So I work with clients to really help them tell their story. When we look in the mirror, we sometimes say and speak out loud negative self-talk, right? And we may not always see the strengths and the values that we bring, or we may take them for granted, right? If we're good at something, like, well, that's just, what I do. But that is a strength that a company, a customer can leverage. And really, I help my clients see the strengths that they have within them already, help them connect with their values so that they can then show up in the world the way they're supposed to. So I hold up that mirror and I speak that positive talk over them and help them see and really claim the achievements that they've had to help them either grow with the company that they're with, exit and have a better opportunity, or in some cases, venture out on their own and do things the way that they want to do it and show up in the world and help them create that legacy.
Oh my gosh. So there's so much to unpack there because that's you. it's authentic, and it's coming from that place of, like you said, you drunk your Kool-Aid first. You were like, you drunk your lemonade first. And we're like, but what I want to point out from what you just said there is helping people understand whether glass half empty, glass half full as a mindset, helping them identify you have something in the glass. There's something in you that you need to be reminded of, so that you now can frame it and use that information to move forward by making meaningful, impactful decisions for your life. And so when you think about, again, outside of this being your work, what keeps you going in this area, particularly around servant leadership? Why is this a thing?
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I've shared this story a couple of times, but I'll share it again. I immigrated to the U.S. when I was about 10 years old. Prior to that, my mother had moved here to continue her college education. So there was a period where I, was living and growing up with my aunt and my uncle and my grandparents. And so that first birthday without my mom, my fourth birthday, my aunt wanted to just plan an amazing birthday party, right? And I spoke with her a few years ago about that experience, and she said what she remembers is I wanted to know who were the attendees for my birthday party. I wanted to know not just the kids that were coming, but who were their parents, who were their grandparents, how were they connected with their family and things of that nature. And I did not remember that story, but I chuckled because I'm like, oh my gosh, that is who I am. Like whether it's a networking event I walk into or a virtual networking event these days, I want to know who's in the room. I want to learn from them. I want to possibly think, okay, I heard Lawrence speak. I think he needs to know so-and-so. Let me connect them. And that curiosity, I think, has always been in me and really shows up in how I build relationships and how I help others. And so again, if you're in service to others, the doors that can open for them and possibly you is limitless, right? And that really drives me. I enjoy talking about careers and having a plan for your career all the time. And I knew that this is what I should be doing because it was what I was naturally doing. And I might have someone call me back in the day when we used to commute and they would call me just to catch up. And I'd be like, hey, so what's going on with you and your career? It would just be a natural segue, friends, family members. And over time, I realized this is what I should be doing. This is my strength. This is my superpower. And not to underestimate that. And a coach that we all know and love, Karen Hilton, was my coach. And I remember her, I said, well, I'm not a coach like you. And she stopped me dead in my tracks and said, what are you talking about? You are a coach. This is how you provide insights and into the leaders that you support. And I didn't connect the dots back then, but what she said resonated with me because I think sometimes we hear certain words and we're like, well, no, I'm not that. That's not what I do. But it is, and the sooner you can own that and really take that and wear that as your cape, the world needs all of us to show up as who we are, right? And to leverage our strengths to help others. And so I really encourage anyone listening is to really think about your values, your personal values, and really think about your strengths, right? And if you're not sure, because we all doubt ourselves, ask someone. Ask your wife, your husband, your partner, your friends, your family members, your colleagues. Ask them, how do you show up in the world? And you'll be amazed by some of the words that they share. And those can then arm you and be some of your superpowers.
Gosh, and y'all, real time, I want to tell y'all, she not playing. Like when we used to meet in person, like I never forget those NRRR Atlanta events where I like the first several months that I was out of the Army. And it was like new face. And it was like, again, everybody else was like, new face, the plague. He may not have nothing to offer. But like you were the total opposite of Kyla. Like it was like beeline, new face. What's up? Who are you? and literally, like, I think that was like what you asked me. It was like, who are you? And in my mind, I'm like, I am me. She doesn't know yet. And then again, I was trying to connect the dots back then. We're like, yeah, not it. Who are you though? Really? And so we started talking, and then I never forget, it was a couple months later, somebody was like, hey, we're hiring, and you were like, Lawrence, come here. Like, Lawrence is prior military officer, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what? I was like, and then I was like, yeah, what she said. But it made me feel good. Like, it was like somebody who, because up to that point, and I'll release this out in the air because everybody know me, I hadn't done well with the connection point. And again, it wasn't authentic, and I felt it. But with you, it was like, okay, this is a real thing for her. And even with the HR crew stuff, it was just like, no, Lawrence, you need to meet Angela. And then it was like, you need to meet this person. And it was just orchestrating like that whole air traffic controller thing. Like, you had that down pat in as a lifestyle. And when you think about this next season of life for all of us, what are you seeing as something people need to develop a skill in as it pertains to building a network, but net weaving with people who make sense for where they are in life?
Yeah. So, going back to curiosity, I think the more curious we can all be, the better it can be. Right. And so oftentimes by talking with someone else, you might find out someone has a certain job. You're like, that's a real job? Like, you actually get paid for that, right? And you may know nothing about it, right? And so just coming with the air, like, hey, Lawrence, tell me more about what you do. I'm not quite sure what that means, right? And just really have an air of curiosity. And I always encourage my clients to, as you have a conversation, ask for and start building your network one person at a time. It's not about having 5,000 LinkedIn connections. That's great, right? It can increase your visibility, but it's not about that. It's about how do you make sure that your network works for you. And I remember, I may have been Teacher Giles, another amazing coach, but I remember hearing her speak years ago. She said, it takes about 2 to 3 years for your network to work for you. And I've found that to be the case, right? And I think you have to think about the long game. It's not about you meet someone at a networking event or you have a networking conversation and it's going to lead to a new job next month or 2 months from now or even a year from now. It really may be a connection that you formed 2 years ago that now comes back and says, hey, I saw this role and I think you should go for it. Or I saw this conference and I think you should speak at it, right? It's those things that come up and how people experience you during that longevity, that long game is really how your network can really leverage and show up. And so I would encourage you, especially if you and I are natural networkers, right? We can walk in a room and not meet a stranger, right? Not everyone's like that, and that's okay. So it's all about, I say, if you can form one meaningful connection, when the world starts opening back up and we go to in-person events, one conversation can be a game changer in your professional career, right? But be curious and have a plan. Perhaps it's, I'm going to have one networking conversation per quarter, right? Or it might be per month, whatever works for you. And then build upon that. And always, I would also say, make sure you're top of mind. The reality is we all have a lot of responsibilities, personally, professionally, and people generally do want to help, but you also got to stay top of mind, right? So if I haven't heard from you in 5 years and now you're reaching out to me because you see an opportunity, someone that I may know that can connect you with the opportunity, but we haven't stayed connected, I'm less likely to, because I don't know what you've been up to. But for the folks who I reach out to say, hey, let's catch up. What's been going on in your world, right? It then prompts you know what, Lawrence, I think this company, this client, you should speak with them because I think what you've been working on, they need to hear about, right? And so top of mind is really important. It's not network's responsibility, right, to find you a new opportunity or connect you with a potential client. It's your responsibility to stay top of mind, right? And there's a lot of different ways you can do that and engage both online and in person.
And what I like about what you just said there, particularly about staying top of mind, it's not and again, people may be watching and you may be listening and saying, oh, so I just got to be just putting myself out there. No, do your work. Get in alignment with what your thing is so that it connect to what Akilah just just told us about, particularly, hey, when I go to a meeting, a client meeting with people, and I'm trying to win this bid, people who have a thing that the client may need, I bring them to the meeting with me. But if I don't know what your thing is, I can't bring you mentally with me to that meeting. And that's just the net weaving, the leadership, organizational effectiveness space that I work in, coaching. I'm bringing into meetings with me other coaches I know, other trainers I know. And guess what? Not just you train people how to use widgets. No, you train people in the stuff that I'm actually having a conversation about. And so I love that you said that, but that you have to be clear, and then you'll network with a clarity, and you'll seek alignment in relationship, not just throwing darts at a connection wall and saying, oh, they're hot, they're on LinkedIn Live, I need to connect with that person. They may be totally out of alignment. And so I really believe from a connection standpoint, there are the reasons, the seasons, and there's the type of lifetime relationships. And again, it being okay that everybody doesn't fall in one of those categories. And I remember, Akilah, when you said that, we were at a HR crew networking event, and you said that 2-year thing, and former military member in me was like, that's some BS. That ain't no way it's gonna take nobody no 2 years to like me. Like, they gonna like me on day, but in this industry, in this world, it takes that long. No like and trust. No like and trust. And you said, like, I'm not finna vouch for you, and I just met you. And it, like, that's not the way this works. And so when you think about somebody, how do you get somebody to shift their mindset to get clear with the client? How do you get them to shift where they're at to where they say they desire to be? What is that process? What's the first step you get into?
Yeah, so, even before someone becomes a client, they're a prospect. A lot of my business has been referrals, right? Have been people in my network. Some of them are friends, family members, but also people who maybe heard me speak, or, whatever the case may be. But there's that call. The reality is coaching, it's a mental investment, and you have to be ready to be on that coaching journey. And so I always tell my prospective clients that I may not be the coach for you, and you may not be the client for me, because there's work that we both have to do in order for this to work. One of the first things is I have a series of questions I ask, and there are about 6 questions. And I really, one of the questions I ask is, tell me about a story about when you were under the age of 10. Who were you in this world before the world maybe shifted and changed you? And I get so much nuggets just from that one question that we can unpack on our initial call. And then through that, I ask, okay, so talk to me about some of the challenges that you faced in either growing your career or growing your business. Let's unpack some of that. And, if they decide that they want to work with me, the first thing we do is get clear on their values. And so have them do a values assessment and really see, okay, what are your top 5 values? And when you can align your values, your personal values, with your professional ones, you're going to see that you are going to be happier and thrive in your career, right? And whether that is you work for a company, whether it's for your own business, or whether, like me, you're doing both, that once you get clear on those things, it really actually helps you make better business decisions. No, I'm not going to apply for that role because it actually doesn't align with my values. I'm not going to look at that company because I don't think they align with my values. And so you really can start getting clear on your plan for your career. Now as I've matured and I'm more seasoned, I can say no very quickly because now I'm clear on my values. So it's like, no, I'm not going to do that, right? But if there's someone else in my network where, this connects with their values, right? I think this would be a good opportunity for Lawrence. Then I can pass that along, right? And I think that, not directly related to your question, but I wanted to share this, is it's really, really important that as you think about your values and all of that, it's just, see where there's linkages personally and professionally. I think, often in our early part of our career, we think those have to be 2 separate things. But the more you can gain alignment and reconcile those 2 things, you really can have a career where you can thrive.
Yeah, and so that's y'all, yeah, y'all getting some coaching secret sauce stuff, talking about front loading that value stuff. Because everybody, that's my jam. I look every time, and it's going to come up, particularly when you start talking to people and there's a lack of clarity in some spaces, and you like, and it really sounds like this, like, hey, what's the most important things to you these days? Right. And again, that's what leads him like, well, I'll do a little of this. I'll do it. Okay. It's not the question I asked. Right. And for you as connecting people to, and again, y'all, it's not just careers, it's alignment of purpose, of life, of all these other things. Because again, I believe if you said something there, there's a freedom and there's a courage in saying not only yes, but no to that for me. Right. That may be your jam. Traditional HR and all the rest of that, that was not my jam. That's why I was like, I never connected to it. And I was like, what's my jam? It was like, ooh, there's it, like development's a thing. And when I got clear on my thing, man, full steam ahead. And so one thing somebody could do today to just get clear outside of values and something else, what's another thing somebody could start with today?
So, I would say that seeking out truth tellers, right? And so I talked a little bit about the negative self-talk that we all do, right? And seeking out people that know your work ethic, know how you showed up. I think about, for those who are in the service industry, there's a net promoter score, right? Your customers will say, well, do I recommend Boss as a great place to do business with? So think about your own personal net promoter score. How do others experience you? Do you know what that is? And if you don't, and this is where vulnerability comes in, you have to ask. And you have to ask the people, not just the people that you know will say the good things, but the people that will challenge you and push you. And, really having that mix. And so I always say, have a conversation with people that you work with, and preferably people you've worked with for a while. And doesn't mean that you're still at the same company. Maybe you've moved on, they've moved on. Have a conversation with people who've known you for such a long time. It could be a brother, it could be a sister, a cousin, a friend. But really start digging into some of those truth tellers and ask, how do you show up, right? And I think what's helpful about that is that you'll find out your strengths, but also find out the things that hold yourself back. Because we all do things to hold ourselves back. Oh no, I'm not going to apply for that role because I don't check all the boxes. I'm not going to start this because, oh gosh, when am I going to, I don't know if I have enough time. I'm not going to register to speak at this conference because, gosh, do I have a story to tell? Right? We have all those doubts, but your truth tellers can really help you discover your strengths, and which I know I've talked about that quite a bit, but really also challenge you with some of the things that you do that are limiting your ability to really thrive and grow.
I love that. And again, strengths, working on those and identify those and operating and living through those is not to say you're not going to acknowledge the things that are opportunities in your life. It's just to say, hey, it's the rabbit story. The rabbit loves to run. The rabbit's really good at running. And if they want to swim, okay, that's a thing. But their thing is running. And so getting good where you are and being excellent there can really make a difference. And that's where your light shines. And so I want people to be able to connect with you, Akilah. I don't want to hoard you any longer. I want people to know how to find you, work with you, because I know your calendar is getting booked up, y'all. So at least make connection. How can people find you across social media?
Yes. And before I answer that question, I want to say one last thing about strengths. So a strength is something not only that you're good at, but energizes you. Because we all have things that we're good at, but you're like drained by the time you're done with it because it may be a core to what your job or the business that you have, and that's okay. But your true strengths are the things that not only are you good at and you do better than anyone else, but actually energize you. You could do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. You are energized by that. So I want to do that last plug about strengths. So how to find me, AkilahCharlemagne.com, make it easy for you. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I am the only Akilah Charlemagne. So I look forward to connecting, getting to know you. seeing how I can support you in your career journey, as well as, if you're looking to venture out and start your own business. But, Lawrence, thank you so much for the opportunity. We've had so many times to connect personally and professionally. When I think about someone who truly connects other people and you really have an abundance mindset. It would be easy for one coach to like, well, I'm not going to connect with another coach because, we might be in competition, but that's not your mentality. It's all about abundance. How can we grow together? I have a little joke about Lawrence. He's like the Keenan Ivory Wayans of the HR community, right? So if you don't know Keenan Ivory Wayans, back in the 80s and 90s, he was one of those entrepreneurs, filmmakers that really helped start and launch the careers of many other people, right? And so that abundance mentality I see in you, you connected me with clients, you connected me with opportunities to speak, and just an encourager, right? Whether it's a text like, hey, just checking on you, you good? And so I truly appreciate that. And thank you for your partnership. And just cheers to both of us and the people that we support in continuing to thrive.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Akilah. Because again, secret, y'all. It took me a while to own it. That's my juice. That's my juice. Is to set foundations for things and not to, like, wherever it goes, it goes. But again, that keeps me out of my head my ego. It keeps my ego in check, saying, who else can I bring along with me? Because that was the career. That's how I made it along. So, Kai, thank you so much for taking this time. Y'all connect with Akilah. Your life will be better for it. I'm just telling you. And so until next time, folks, I got another couple amazing people next week. Be well on this Friday Eve, wherever you are in the world. Continue to be safe. And y'all, we will see you later.
See you later. Have a great day.